So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the new best God Wizard build in Hogwarts Legacy. So in this guide I will show you what spells and gear you want to get. Then I will explain what are the best talents, gear upgrades and traits to use for early and endgame content. And then lastly, I will show you the best gameplay and even which stats you need to prioritize when leveling, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how low or high level or gear your character has, you can easily use this build and follow this step-by-step guide. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the build, and the way it will work that we will be using the Glacius to freeze and detonate enemies in a group. Then a Resto Momentum spell will slow enemies down and give you time to plan your next attack. And by using the slowing curse, it will also increase the damage that the target takes after casting. Then as well, Enduring Curse will extend the duration of this damage debuff. And Curse Sapper heals you when you defeat your enemies if they are cursed. Then Knockback Curse changes the Flipendo, allowing it to curse as well, making the spell 2 times more useful. I like to call this setup as the Dumbledore build, because we won't be using any forbidden curses, but the damage that we will do will be still very high. Then there's also focus in this build on defensive magic in Protego, allowing you to get the best use of it through using the Protego Absorption, Protego Expertise and Protego Mastery. This talent setup I will show you just in a second, but overall this build will not only make you very powerful on the defense but on offense as well. So then let's move over to our talents, and as you get one talent per each level, so expect to max most of your talent tree to more than 50%. But for the first 10 to 15 levels, each point matters. So then first of all, we want to spend 3 points in the core category, and we want to unlock the spell knowledge 1 and 2, and then the swift move as well. Then now let's move over to the spells, and we want to unlock the Confringo Mastery, and then the Incendio Mastery. And then lastly, let's go over to the Dark Arts category, and unlock the Blood Curse, Knockback Curse, Crucio Mastery and Enduring Curse. As I said at the start, Hogwarts Legacy doesn't have the same talent system like in other games, so I recommend to first of all use only the talents I told you to unlock first. But then when you're higher level, then you can spend your talent points in whatever order you like. So then let's move over to the gear, and in this game the gear and stats are very basic. So we have our health, defense and offense, and then in total there are 6 gear pieces. So we get gloves, face sphere, hats, scarves, cloaks and outfit. Each one of these items will increase your offensive or defensive stat, and all that you want to do is after each few quests, keep checking your inventory and use only the gear that has this green arrow, or then sell it if it has a red arrow. The gear that you can use doesn't really matter besides the upgrades and traits that you can enchant the gear with. So with that said, we can upgrade our gear by using the loom in our room of requirement, and we can only upgrade gear that is either way blue, purple or orange, aka legendary. The more you will play, the better equipment you will get. But basically all that you want to do is come to this loom and constantly upgrade your gear by simply pressing the upgrade button and then use one of these feathers. Upgrading your equipment will just simply increase its stats, and you can get the feathers and other materials to upgrade your gear from different shops and beasts that you have in your vivarium. What I usually do is after playing the game for about 30 minutes, I teleport back to the room of requirement and then brush and feed all of my pets. And then I will be able to collect materials, which then I can use to upgrade my gear. So in a short summary, if you want to have as high damage as possible, then you want to do this to all of your gear pieces. And then lastly, while we're talking about gear, the last way that we can improve our stats is by using the trait mechanic. So what we want to do again is click on this loom, but this time click on the view traits, and here you can see all the bonuses that you can put on your gear. Every high level gear has these 3 slots in which you can put one level 1 trait, then one level 2 trait, or then one level 3 trait. Again, the same as with upgrading your gear, you will use feathers and other materials that you gather from your beasts. But on top of all this time you will need to spend extra time and discover the traits that you want to use. So some traits offer defensive capabilities, while others will buff up your damage or attack. You can obtain traits by collecting trait recipes from the bandit camps, but you will have to look for this camp icon in the world to find one. So then when you start getting your traits on your gear, you only want to use the Ancient Magic and Magic Focus on all 6 gear pieces, because these traits can stack, and these 2 traits will increase our damage by huge amounts. Of course you will start with level 1 traits, but then the more you will play, the better traits you will unlock. So then at the end, you will want all of your gear with the shades that I previously mentioned, but all at level 3. So then let's move over to our spells, and in general this build will be using 8 spells, so 2 sets of 4 spell presets. And if you did not know by now, then by using your first talent point in the spell knowledge 1, you can unlock additional 4 spell presets and much more. So then for the first spell we have the Glacius. This ability will freeze the enemies and make them take increased follow-up damage. Then the second one is called the Arresto Momentum. This ability will slow enemies and give you extra time to do a bunch of damage. Then the third spell is called Defendo. This skill will slash enemies from afar, doing a lot of damage. Then the fourth spell is called Flipendo. This ability will flip enemies upwards and backwards, making them vulnerable for a short period. And this skill has very low cooldowns, so it's perfect for any type of enemy. Then for the next one we have the Levioso. This spell will just simply levitate the enemies. Although it won't be doing any damage, making the enemy immobilized for a second or two is all that you need to afterwards use all of your high damage spells. And most of the time, I use this skill to break the enemy shields. Then for the next one we have the Incendio. This skill will shoot a quick burst of fire. While the range is short, all enemies hit with the fire will take burning damage constantly. Then for one of the last spells we have the Axio. This skill will summon or basically pull enemies or objects closer. This is another good ability that won't be doing any damage, but it is very useful to break enemy casting, or just to use it to complete all the puzzles in the quest game. And then lastly, we will be using the Confringo. This is a long range bolt that deals damage on impact. Enemies hit with this fire attack will continue to take damage for few seconds. During that time, collisions will result in incendiary burst, which will do even more damage. So overall this build's main strategy is to do very good damage, while also having the ability to break enemy attacks and defense. So as we are the good guys, we won't be using any dead curses that rely a lot on forbidden spells that have very long cooldowns. But with this build instead we will be focusing on the ancient magic that will be building up this ancient magic meter super quickly, so then we'll be able to use our ultimate ability much more often. Then as well, as you can see, we can unlock the third spell preset and even the fourth one, but in my opinion, 2 spell presets are plenty enough for combat. And by the time we use all 8 spells, the first one will be ready to be used again. So then lastly, for our essential combat spells, like most of us already know, we have the basic cast, which by pressing a left click will do a simple basic attack. Then your Q spell is called Protego, which is your basic defense spell, and if you get hit while holding it, then not only you will take no damage, but you can stun the enemy as well. Then the next skill is the Z button, which you can use if you're fighting enemies in places with small rocks or objects. So this spell will simply allow you to throw these rocks and objects at your target. And then for our last combat essential spell, we have the Ancient Magic, which is basically like your ultimate ability. So by eliminating monsters you can collect their essence, which then if this bar reaches full, then you can press X on enemies and do your ultimate ability, which will do very high damage. So then with all of this said, let's move over to the gameplay, where I will show you the best spell rotation. So most of the spells are very self-explanatory, but just in case, here's the spell combos and rotations that you wanna use. So we wanna start the fight with the Glacius, then use the Arresto Momentum, and then activate the Defendo spell. Then the second combo is to use the Flipendo, then Levioso, and then finish it off with the Incendo. And then for a quick one-shot attack you can use the Accio, and then finish it with the Confringo. But mostly what I like to do, especially in boss fights, is just to combine all of these 3 combos in one rotation. So we use the Glacius, then Arresto Momentum, then Defendo, then Flipendo. Then now switch to the second preset and use the Levioso, then Incendio, then Accio, and then finish it off with the Confringo. And then by the time that we use our last 8 spell, the first 4 are back ready, so then we can just repeat the same rotation. In Hogwarts Legacy, the combat is much different than in other games. We don't want to have all 8 damage spells, because the enemies have magic as well, and if they use shields or other spells, then in that time we won't be able to do damage, so this rotation will work against anyone no matter what. This build consists of 8 spells that will constantly buff your damage, stun or immobilize the target, and then of course deal bunch of damage. And of course in this rotation you wanna keep on using the dodge or Q to escape enemy attacks. And then last but not the least, as well you wanna keep on using the left click for basic attack, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other good Hogwarts Legacy builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you wouldn't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.